Kenner called him Klaatu. Hasbro called him Woof. What's the deal? Where does the original name Woof come from? And did Kenner ever think of calling him that? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me again with a second video. If you didn't see my first video, look at the list of action figures for 1983. Check it out. Uploading them both at the same time. Move out of my way, shit. Sorry. I upload them both at the same time, so I don't know which one you clicked on first. If you didn't see the list of the figures that they may have came out with in 1983 but didn't, check that out. But let's talk about this first. Let's go back to my notes. Sorry again. No, I should have my notes ready. What's wrong with me? I'm a big jackass. That's all it is. There's no excuse for it. Okay. Sorry about that. Hasbro did the vintage collection and they released Klaatu. And most of us thought, oh, that's a good looking card. Looks just like the Klaatu figure I had growing up on the Return of the Jedi card. Nothing special. And then it hit us. That nameplate. That doesn't say Klaatu. That says Woof. W-O-O-O-F. Woof! Not wolf, but woof. You know, like a dog. Woof, woof. But this wasn't that unusual. West End Games around the late 80s started changing the name of figures, giving them proper names to set up their role-playing game with the blessing of Lucasfilm. So a lot of figures like Walrus Man Comes to Papa, and there was a lot of other figures that got official names. So that just seems like what happened. But there's a little bit more to it than that. And I'm not here to tell you about the canon of the name or what the alien's name is in the EU and all that. We're here more just talking about Kenner's role in the name. So put your keyboard down. So don't tell me some canon story about the name or that name's the character, not the alien. The alien's Klaatu, but the character's name is Woof. We're just talking Kenner here. First, looking at the history of the name, it appears with 2 O's or 3 O's. And the name Woof was given to this character by ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. Now, even when making Return of the Jedi or any of the Star Wars movies, a lot of these aliens, especially the background aliens, didn't really have names. A few of them did, but for the most part, they had so many aliens, most of them didn't have names, and ILM would come up with their own as kind of a non-official, official title, I guess. And it was ILM that came up with this name, Woof, and it stuck. In my other video, I talked about the list from 1982 of the action figures height for the 1983 line. Now let's take another closer look at it. And at number 11, it shows Woof with 2 O's. And that's not the only time Woof appears with Kenner. From their factory, they sent over a box to the UK, all full of Klaatu. And let's take a look at that shipping box. As you can see on the box, it's marked Woof with 2 O's and in parentheses, Klaatu. But when did it get 3 O's? Because that's what is most common now, 3 O's.
3 O, it's the magic number. Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll have to go back to ILM in the making of Return of the Jedi. Now, I couldn't find no official photo of the tag inside the costume, but apparently the costume for Klaatu was marked inside Klaatu/Woof with 3 O's. And that seems to be where the Woof part came from. But what about the first time Kenner used it? Well, let's take a look at the prototype of Klaatu. As you can see here in these very early mock-up prototypes of the figure Klaatu, on the bottom of his foot is the name Woof with 3 O's. The 3 O's would again appear in a Canadian Wish Book catalog as figure number 14, Klaatu, now with Woof in parentheses. Now I said earlier that West End Games, when working on the role-playing books, got all the names changed to more official sounding names than something like Hammerhead. But it seems the name Woof wasn't connected to Klaatu in any official source until the early 90s with the Star Wars card trading game. There was a card of Klaatu, but said Woof with 3 O's. This made it the first official time Klaatu was called Woof. So what happened? Why did Kenner drop the name? Why didn't Kenner release this as Woof? Why Klaatu? Well, it seems early on their plan was to call it Klaatu parentheses Woof. But we have no real data why this changed. We had no inside information why they just went with Klaatu. But we can guess this because it's just an alien. And being that he had no real key part in the storyline, he didn't have a name in the movie, it was just simpler to call him Klaatu and release him as an alien like they did in the past. I mean, it would have been like if Kenner released a Tusken Raider and called it Tusken Raider and then in parentheses put Steve. Or maybe for Empire release Ugnut and in parentheses put Bill. It just made no sense. There was no reason for to have the extra name Woof, because anyone in 1983 buying the figure wouldn't even know what it was talking about. Wouldn't understand who Woof was with 3 names. Wouldn't even be sure how to pronounce it. It just was no reason to put it on there. Now, of course, a year later, Kenner did release another Klaatu, and they had to use a parentheses to say this one's different because it's dressed different. But so if they knew going into it they were going to do 2 different Klaatu aliens, they would have went with Woof, as it made more sense. Because then it wouldn't be like you had the same alien, just in different clothes. I don't know about you, as a kid, I thought Klaatu was the character's name, so I thought it was one dressed like he does in the palace and the other one dressed on the skiff. But Klaatu is the race, the alien race. And it seems Woof, it was the name of the character. So I just wanted to I thought this one needed a little bit more time to talk about than the others that we looked at on the list in the other video. Check it out if you didn't. But well, let me know when was the first time you heard Klaatu referred to as Woof? Maybe I missed something. Maybe it was in a comic book or something before the card game. But all the information I could find traced it back to its origin of being an official name for Klaatu in the Star Wars card trading game. Well, let me know that or whatever else you want me to know in the comment. Don't forget to check out the other video if you didn't. And as always, subscribe to the channel, thumb up so you like my content, and we'll talk again.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.